Good evening, fellow Plexers. Tonight I'm going to try to help Grant from the Plexaholics group. He has an Asustor 6407 NAS, or at least he claims to have that. I can't find that model, so I'm wondering if it's just a typo and that he actually has the Longshot 4 Gen 2 AS6704T. I'm betting he does. And Plex's NAS compatibility guide tells us it's a Celeron N5105 in that. Now, I'm a Synology NAS guy. I run Plex server in a Docker container under Unraid that points back to my Synology NAS, but I've got test Plex servers on both Synology models as a package and as a Docker container. Only one can run on one piece of hardware at one time, but I can switch back and forth. So this Celeron processor has more hardware accelerated transcoding power than the 9th gen Celeron in my DS1520. Okay, so the possible solution, which is a long shot, is this forum post at Plex's forums. So Chuck PA was trying to help a couple people out here, and this person, Philly, or Piley, there's no H, so it's not Pilly. Anyway, they discovered that a recent update to their NAS unchecked this option, and once they checked it, they had hardware acceleration back, and this was with a package install, not a Docker container install. So, long shot answer, this might be it for Grant. Now, besides that, I have some ideas on how he might be able to troubleshoot this, or maybe use a Docker container version of Plex to get around whatever's going on. So let me bring in DSM. If you're going to do anything with Docker, it's probably easiest to get Portainer installed. So if you can find a guide, Grant, to get Portainer installed, Plex is pretty easy to install then, and the only thing you need to do is you need to SSH in from your computer into your NAS, so that'll have to be enabled, and you have to run one terminal command. If you're running Linux, you can just do it from whatever terminal's installed on your Linux operating system. If you're using Windows, and I'm not a Windows user, you'd have to install something like PuTTY and then SSH into your NAS. Or if an Asustor NAS has an option like Synology does, I can create a scheduled task that'll run this command, just ID. So let me run this, and I don't know what I'm going to find, but let me just run this on my desktop version of Linux. Okay, so I get the UID number, which is 1000, and the GID number. You're basically doing the same thing on your Synology NAS. You need those two numbers. And before we talk about Portainer and getting Plex server installed, let's talk about backing up your current version of Plex someplace safe before you do anything else with it. So, on a Synology NAS running DSM7, the Plex install, the package install of Plex creates a shared folder called Plex Media Server. If I open that up, then there's an app data folder, which a lot of people who use Unraid will recognize. Then you have the Plex Media Server folder. This folder, everything below, is your Plex server install, and that's a universal folder under any Linux version. You can move this folder to any type of Linux install, and as long as your media is accessible to point to, you can move a Plex server library, or I'm sorry, a Plex server install, and just update the library path. Well, let me leave that open. A Docker container install, you need a shared Docker folder, lowercase, and then you have subfolders for your different containers. Here's the Plex one, and I could have named this anything I want. Here's a library subfolder, application support, and then here's that same Plex Media Server folder. That's the universal one. So wherever your Plex server is installed, it's probably installed to a shared folder. You want to copy that and back it up someplace. Just right click and copy it. Well, actually, I want to be at this level. I don't want to copy the shared folder. I want to copy this folder. So just copy it in some place, whether it's a different shared folder or someplace else. Just go in and right click and paste it and get a backup of it. Never use that backup, just use that to copy it back into place. So once you get Plex installed as a Docker container, stop it, and then go into this directory structure and delete that folder and copy in your backup and restart the container. It will be your old Plex server. It should be pointing to the same libraries. But to be safe, go into the settings of Plex, under settings, library, turn off automatic scanning and turn off emptying of the trash automatically after every scan. Because you may need to go into the libraries and edit them and adjust the path. This should be the same on, well, no, actually it won't be the same, because the package version will probably say volume 1. The Docker version uses an alias to the shared folder. So if this was the package install, it'd say volume 1, and then it had the name of my shared media folder, and then you'd see the subfolders. This is an alias to the shared media folder. So you've got to do this in order not to lose your metadata. But you're not going to lose it because of the copy. You're not doing anything with the original Plex server. Okay, so about all you have to do under your NAS is to create a shared Docker folder and then create a subfolder called Plex. And then I can't help you with this, but you got to Google how to install Portainer. Portainer is the easiest way. And here's Container Manager. And you see I've got Portainer running. Once Portainer is installed, let me open that up. Oh, didn't have to worry about a password. It was probably still open. Under stacks, you can create a Plex stack really quickly. If I go in an editor, most of this will probably work for your NAS. This is the line that enables hardware acceleration. This is the two numbers we just used the ID terminal command to grab. This gives permissions. You don't have to worry about special permissions on your NAS like I would with the Synology package install. The Plex user has to have permission to the media folders, and then there's the system user that has to have the right permission. None of that matters because here's the permission granted there. So you set your time zone. You add this, which should be exactly the same for your slightly newer Celeron processor. You point the config to the right location, and you point to your shared media folder. This shared media folder, under this structure, the alias to this folder is anything I set here. I'm calling it Plex Media SSD. You can call it My Plex Media, whatever you want to call it. And everything else should be the same. I used this same script here, just with different paths, to get a test version of Plex running through Portainer under Ubuntu 24.04, which is installed on another NVMe drive on this system. So Portainer is the only thing you got to get installed. I can help you get this installed. So once it is installed and running, so you just go to Container. This is where it would be running. This is shut down right now. I'm going to start it. it successfully started. It'll take a minute to be up and running normally. You get this on the screen at the same time. I've got the web app up, and I'm using app.plex.tv, not a direct IP address login. So this is what we're waiting to start. And it started. And if we go back to Portainer, it's healthy. So you just got to get it installed. And once it's installed, you stop it right away. You're not creating a new server. So then you go back into ADM for your version, for your NAS. And once that container is stopped, you go in with the built-in file manager of your NAS, and you take your you go to your Docker folder, and then the Plex subfolder, drop down to library application support, and you delete this. When it's gone, you copy in the copy of the package version of the install. Before you, I'm missing a step. Did I mention this already? Before you shut it down, you have to be in the web app of your old server under library for settings, and you have to turn off any automated scanning and turn off emptying of the trash can. And why will be this. If I go to a library to manage it and edit it, this path is going to be different. So with a package install on a commercial NAS, it's probably going to say volume 1, then the shared folder your media is in, and then whatever subfolder the library might be. So the Docker container is going to have an alias to that, and maybe I shouldn't have been so hasty closing Portainer down. Okay, if we go back to stacks and edit this. So here's the real path, and this actual folder has an alias that you name here. So this is what I'll see when I edit the library or add the library, and you'll need to make those changes so you don't lose your metadata. So what you do is you can leave the old path at first, just put the new path to the same level, save changes, then Plex will automatically rescan and you'll be all set. So what you should do is, before you do anything, you should go to the library tab and on a scratch pad someplace, write down the number of movies in each library. And also while you're here, check for duplicates. Now I have a couple versions of this, so I expect that. And also check for unmatched and write that information down too, because when you're all done pointing to the new library from the Docker container, those numbers should all be the same. And if they are the same, that's when you go back in and delete the original path, save changes again, it'll rescan. And once you do that for all your libraries, then you can re-enable automatic scanning. So that's just a quick reference on how to move a Plex server container, but you're not really moving it in the same way. Anyway, long story short, Linux is universal. You can move a Plex server. And actually, I've moved a Windows 11 Plex server onto my older Synology NAS because even in Windows, it's the same folder once you find it. And I always thought, from what I've read, that there were a lot of Plex settings in the Windows registry, but I didn't find that to be the case. I took a test server, I created custom metadata on that test server under a Windows install on a bench system, did the prep I needed to do, turned off automatic scanning, turned off the auto emptying the trash, shut it down, copied this folder across my local network. I think I did it into a Docker container. I shut the container down. I removed that folder I was talking about right here and pasted in the new one from the Windows install. Spun it back up, adjusted the paths, and It survived the transition from Windows 11 to a Synology NAS as a Docker container without any metadata loss. So, if you feel like experimenting, if that Longshot idea doesn't work, if this doesn't work, just get a backup of your Plex server now. You probably should have had one before you did anything. And once you end up back in normal shape, back that up. If you have no problems 3 months down the road, destroy the backup, create a new backup, and do it every 3 months manually if you have to. That way, you'll never lose your full server, and all you have to do is scan in. If catastrophe happens, all you have to do is restore the backup by just copying it into place in the same methods I've talked about. When you start Plex back up, when it scans for new media, you'll just be bringing in the last 3 months that are new and not everything. And that way, if you have smart collection set up, the new media will fall right back into it. And the only thing you'll have to do is any manual collections that you had added that last 3 months of media to. All right, this is getting long. I don't know if it's going to be helpful for you, but you didn't seem to have a lot of suggestions in Plexaholics. I think there's more people running Unraid or Synology NAS than a Asustor NAS, but I just felt bad. I wanted to see if I could help you, and maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Either way, let me know if I could be of further help. And for anybody else that's stuck with this video this long, my apologies. I went out on a limb, and I just felt like helping Grant if I could. And I'm making a lot of guesses here. So happy plexing, and thanks for watching.